It was just fast.
Is the NFL experience everything you thought it'd be?
More. It is more because you meet so many great people and you um, develop so many great relationships that, people are literally lining up to meet you, And that's the biggest thing that I wanted to do was meet and greet and get to know everybody and not leave a single person out. And as far as playing, you see guys like Peyton Manning that I played against. You see guys like Ray Lewis, who I idolized forever, Dwight Freeney, Javon Curse, Strahan, Osi Umenyiora, You see those guys like that you look up to and like, oh my God, I'm on the same field with these guys and I'm playing against these guys.
And about one more guy we want to talk about, your former defensive coordinator, now head coach here, Gene Chizik. What kind of job do you think he's going to do here, Quentin?
He's going to be okay, man. He's going to do a great job. A lot of people give him a lot of flack saying he didn't deserve a job, but Jay Jacobs and those guys, they make the right decision. They made the right decision when they hired Coach Tuberville, and they made the right decision when they hired Coach Chizik. Being a defensive-minded coach, people think, okay, he's just going to all be about defense, but bringing in Coach Malzone, and his staff, Trooper Tucker, and those guys, bring a lot of excitement to the game and score a lot of points. So, he's a great guy, and he deserves everything he's getting right now.
Thank you, Quentin Groves, for joining us. It's good to see you back here again on this very football field. We appreciate your time, and that's going to do it for us here for the halftime festivities. We will be right back with the broadcast crew coming up right after this.
Welcome back to Jordan-Hare Stadium, where the offense had 3 touchdowns, all directed by Cody Burns. The defense had a few sacks, some 3-and-outs, and the scoring system has a 7-point game here at halftime. Paul Crane and Cole Kubelik back with you. And Cole, for Gene Chizik and his staff and this team, the road ahead, well, it's always tough in the SEC, but the Tigers will have 4 home games to start the season and an opportunity to get things off on a good foot.
Absolutely, and I tell you, it won't be easy. Coach Dooley will bring his Louisiana Tech Bulldogs in, a much improved team. They're going to have to battle from the start. Mississippi State under a new head coach as well. They're going to bring a completely different style of play in here to Auburn. West Virginia, a perennial BCS team the last decade. Ball State was a team that went bowling last year. So although some of those are teams that aren't traditionally powerhouses, they're going to be tough games for Auburn to start the season.
Mentioned Mississippi State. Dan Mullen, the former offensive coordinator under Urban Meyer for so many years, will be changing things offensively there in a major way. And then, of course, Patrick White gone from West Virginia, and a real quality Ball State team lost some key players. So, again, the opportunity for the Tigers to get off to a good start, key, because then the meat of the SEC schedule starts. And I think that's where this new staff and the new offense and all that comes with it is going to really be tested.
Well, it will be. And you look at the road schedule for this Auburn Tigers team in 2009, and it looks difficult. At Tennessee, I know Tennessee's down, but you're going to Knoxville, play in front of 105,000. Arkansas, to me, will be probably the most improved team in the SEC next year. They're going to be tough, and that's a team that Auburn lost to at home last season. Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, probably the toughest place to play in the SEC. And then they go to their second biggest rival, Georgia Bulldogs, on the road. And that's a team that Auburn hasn't beaten in quite some time.
And with a lot of these players, certainly the returning players have been through in the last couple of years, it seemed a year ago it was almost on a house of cards. How important do you think a good start to solidify the way things will begin this season will be for this team?
Well, I think mentally it will be a big break for this team. These kids need some energy. They need life. They need positive action. So they can come out, win their first 3-4 ball games. I think it will go a long way for this team because they're going to be in a few battles this year. We talked about, take for example, the Tennessee game. As a team, physically, athletically, they're going to be probably evenly matched with. They have to go on the road, and if you've lost 2 or 3, if you're on a skid, mentally that's going to be one that's tough to overcome.
And in this conference, defense is so important. We've paid so much attention to the offense, especially with what Gus Malzahn is doing, but Ted Roof comes in. Here's a guy who really made his name at Georgia Tech before becoming the head coach at Duke, but defensively in the SEC, with the group he's got coming back, that could be a place where this team could make its mark as well.
It really can, but what they're going to have is numbers, and they haven't had that in the spring. They've suffered some injuries. If they have this kind of luck with injuries first 2-3 weeks of the season or even in preseason camp, they could be in a lot of trouble on that side of the football. But the good news is, because you've had these injuries, you got a lot of kids have gotten a lot of reps. gotten a lot of fundamentals. They've been in practice, been in game situations, so that's a big advantage come fall.
Well, we've got a second half of spring football coming up, and if it's anything like the first half, we are in for a real treat. It's offense and defense, and both teams looking well. We'll check some highlights when we come back. It's a day on a beautiful day at Auburn, where the offense has 3 touchdowns, which have led to, in the scoring system, 23 points. The defense has 16. Paul Crane and Cole Kubelik back with you. And the offense provided plenty of highlights right out of the gate. Ben Tate had a couple of touchdowns, and then the little play-action reverse. But it's Ben Tate for 46 yards.
Just a little trap play right up the middle. Ben Tate, north and south ability, takes it to the house. And then you'll see the nice cutback behind the offensive lineman. Shows he can get an east and west run in there as well. Here's the big play. Terrell Zachary on the reverse, 70 yards. Something that Auburn did not see as big plays from those wide receivers last season.
And Zachary able to bust the touchdown, but Michael Goggins able to score for the defense as Neil Caudle did not get the protection he needed, and the defense was able to climb back into this scoring system that's being used here today.
Mike Goggins and Mike Block, both big plays on defense, and they've gotten that penetration up front. Haven't done a good job against that first unit, but they've dominated the second team.
Now, the explosive plays for the offense were more than just 6 points for the touchdown, which they did get, but you can see plays more than 15 yards also get 2 points. This is the system, again, that was used during scrimmages on the spring, and the defense, yeah, if they take one to the house, they get 7, but any turnover that doesn't go all the way is 5 points. Sacks are 4. You see the 3 and outs are worth 2, so that's the way the defense has made this a real game at halftime. Let's go downstairs to Melissa Lee once again.
It kind of makes you wonder where this offense was during the previous spring scrimmages where the defense won everything. But right now you can see this offense is really encompassing everything Gus Malzahn wants them to do. He wants his quarterbacks to be able to come up to the line with a predetermined play, be able to read that defense, go through his progression, and make plays, and that's exactly what they've done today. Cody Burns looking very good, looking very poised in the pocket, passing, and of course the running backs. As we mentioned earlier before the game started, these running backs are going north and south instead of east and west, and again, it's something Gus Malzahn, it's just a part of his offense and something we will see much more of this fall, guys.
And Melissa, we had heard it was going to be different, and missing is that come to the line of scrimmage, then everyone stops, stand up, turn to the sideline. Obviously the tempo is much different than a year ago.
Yeah, you know, one of the problems that I think a lot of fans were getting antsy, especially when they saw the east and west running, and then on top of that, Tony Franklin's spread offense, the whole purpose of it being fast was to get up to the line of scrimmage, but then the guys would get up there, they'd stop, turn, and everybody would look at the sideline because the offensive coordinator at that point was kind of reading the defense, if you will, then calling the play for the quarterback. And so there was a lot, it wasn't as fast as everybody said it would be. It wasn't as fast as Franklin had said it was. And with this Gus Malzahn offense, it is just that fast. These guys get up to the line of scrimmage, they know what play they're going to run, they snap that football, and by the end of this game, these defenses they're going to be playing, their opposing defenses are going to be dog-tired, guys, and that's the point and the big key for this offense.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, Cole, over the course of the season. And as a former center, life on the offensive line, I know one of the ways that the Tigers struggled a year ago was all the offensive linemen being in the 2-point stances. Now, the guards are going to be in the 3-point stances. They'll again be able to put their hands on the ground. Tackles will be in the 2-point, but how about the way the pacing was, not being able to have your hand on the ground a year ago and then stopping at the line of scrimmage and looking to the sideline? Well,
basically what you're doing to an offensive lineman there is you're taking 15, 20 seconds before every play where you're just down in your stance. You talk about 40, 50 plays a game, that's going to wear on you. Your legs are going to be gassed. They're going to be like jello come fourth quarter. And that's why I think towards the end of the season, when you saw the Auburn staff try to go back to that running game, try to be a more physical team, the legs just weren't there, especially for those offensive linemen.
I know Gus Malzahn was telling us yesterday how he really wants to run that what you usually see teams do in the final 2 minutes of a game. That's what he wants to do for all 60 minutes.
And that's something that really it gives the offense an advantage in multiple ways, but the number one being that a defense has to keep that personnel on the field, and really they're not able to adjust as far as their alignment or their scheme. So if they have, say, a cover 2 called and a 4-3 defense, they're going to have to stay in a 4-3 because they don't have the personnel to go to a 3-4 or a nickel defense, or even roll the coverage to a cover 1 that would be better suited against the run, or a cover 3 that would be better suited against the pass. So it gives you the advantage not only from a personnel standpoint, but from an alignment standpoint also.
See Neil Caudle, he had